Hi, good morning. Don here. Welcome to day number 22 of 30 here of the 30-day practice blueprint. We talked yesterday about in-office procedures and kind of what are some of the easiest, best procedures. I kind of rattled off a really kind of long list of procedures that you might want to consider. Procedures are in my opinion, the most fun thing that we do in podiatry, even more fun, I think, than surgery. I'm going to talk about something that might not be so much fun, but I want to give you kind of the high points of using your medical record. Now, I know every medical record is different. I'm going to do like the 80-20 of medical records. And we've tried a couple of different types. We used to have, before this one, we're using Athena right now. Before we used Litec MD. And then before that, we used MediNotes. So my best tip is, if you're using a medical record, learn how to do it really well. Okay, don't wait for someone else to teach you. Don't wait to get training from the company. Basically, you just have to delve in and do it. The problem with medical records when you get a new one is that every patient is considered a new patient, so it's a lot of documentation. I have some of my favorite hacks. Now, this might be separate for your medical record, kind of whichever one you're working with. So I'm gonna first kind of go through my favorite things that really make my life easy, and then I'm going to go in and show you on a kind of a test patient. Okay, so number one would be using something we call in Athena, it's called dot codes, which is basically you hit dot and then you type something out and it'll put in a whole like paragraph, 2 paragraphs of information. So those are called dot codes. Anytime that you type something more than once, twice, or 3 times, you can add a dot code. So we do not transcribe. We actually use these things. So if I'm doing something for plantar fasciitis, you can do dot plantar fasciitis and it'll pull that in. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. That's like my favorite thing that helps speeding up notes. So if you're doing things, you might have, for example, I saw, let's say a paronychia follow-up. Then you have a paronychia follow-up with a granuloma. And then you have a paronychia follow-up, needs a matrixectomy. So all these things, you can do it. You can even do it even if you want right, left, things like that. Those are in the discussion notes. Now you can make actual note templates based on those as well if you'd like, but I've just found that this system works pretty well. The second thing I do is I have a master note with everything in it. And then I have add-ons that I add on to the note. So what I mean by that is I have like a master foot pain note. And then, for example, if they have an ulcer, I'll add just that ulcer section in. I'll add just the wart component in. I'll add certain components into it instead of having a brand new note template. So that really makes my life a lot easier. Okay. Then I also have imaging templates. So, for example, for X-rays, I have 3 views right, 3 views left, with 2 views, with 2 heel views. I have ankle views. I have ultrasound views. These different types of radiological reads with all the normal values in there. So I just have to click and go through. It's real easy. I'll show you how to do that as well. And then I have another thing that's kind of cool within my medical record. I think most are the same. If I choose, for example, nail fungus, it'll automatically pull up the nail pathology results or the LFTs to do blood test or the Lamisil prescription. So I can merge these together into something that works really well. Okay. What I'm going to do is I was thinking about like, oh, I'll sell this in the future, but I don't know what the future is going to hold. So I'm going to give you guys all of my stuff, all my templates here, if it's beneficial to you. I mean, if you're here at day 22, you're probably tired of listening to me saying how valuable this is, but I wish I had this. I was thinking about making a separate course, but who cares? If you made it this far, you probably like what you're learning and it might help you in your practice. So let me share my screen and we'll kind of get into this here. Okay. Okay, so here's my screen. Here is a test patient. First, I'm going to show you what I'm going to give you guys underneath it. I'm going to put a link here. And the reason it's going to be a link, this is what I call Athena Podiatry. Basically, it's all the EMR stuff. So what I'm going to include in here is a few things. First of all, it's going to be a bracing. They're in alphabetical order, right? So just a brace dispensing note that we talked about with DME, AFO recommendations, Athena Podiatry. This is going to be basically a description template with macros. These are all the macros that I'm talking about. So let me show you here. So these are basically a description of how I use for like plantar fasciitis. this is all the verbiage that I make into one dot code. So that's for plantar fasciitis, but all of them are located within this macro section. So basically all these macros are everything that I do. So first post-op DP, second post-op, abscess follow-up, ABIs, ABI with ulcers, reviewing ABIs, abscess foot. Now you should read these. Now all the areas that are underlined are areas where within your medical record, there's a couple ways of doing it. I a lot of times just click on it and then I type the answer, but you can also add like quick codes to make it easier. What those quick codes are just ways of doing right, left, bilateral, things like that. That can be done with your medical record. I don't want to go too much into detail. Here are my ultrasound interpretation, ankle x-rays, foot x-rays, heel x-rays, telehealth, same and similar, some verbiage for same and similar. And then here are some video examples. So all that's going to be in there. But let me just go into my medical record and show you. This is a AMI test. So it's a test patient. So you're not going to see any medical results. Now this is what I call, let me just show you how I would start it over. Okay. A lot of the other stuff I don't do, my staff does. But what I have here, I have these saved findings that the most of the time I use foot pain normal. That's like my master template. Unless they're in for a diabetic foot exam, I might do a CDFE normal. I tried to make a master template. It didn't really work out, but so I just make the foot normal my master one. But I would recommend making a master one versus having multiple of these. It just gets a little overwhelming. So that's the saved findings. And then I also have the templates. Now, this is the add-ons I was talking to you about. So basically, you take the foot pain, and then you add on nails and calluses, you add on a wound exam, you add on a lesion exam, you add on a balance gait test. So you can add on stuff, okay? So with templates, what you'll find, for example, with a wound exam, everything comes out not filled out. Do you see that? That's not very beneficial. But if I'm adding it on to a normal one, then I can just fill out the stuff. So within it, I have saved findings. What this means is each one of these, I had to pull up the actual template and fill it out with normal values. That's why it's called saved findings with normal values. You have to fill those out. That just saves you a lot of time. So let me show you the example. So I have foot pain is empty. So I had to open up each one of these and put in the normal numbers, the normal values for it. And once I had a normal one, this saves me a lot of time. Now I have the foot pain normal. So it pulls in cardiovascular, skin, gait, musculoskeletal, ankle, neurological. Everything comes in normal. And then from that, for example, I can pull it down here and let's say they have plantar medial heel, they have pain, and I'll put that in here and they might have some equinus noted, okay? So I'll add that in there on the right section. So that's how you add things in. Another cool thing you can do is you can add in, let's say you want to talk about nails and calluses, and that'll show up under the skin, and that'll pull in calluses, and I can put kind of where they're at, if they're on the first met head or something like that. And then I can also pull in and tell what nails are. Now the way I do it is I tell what nails. So let's say 1, 2, and 3 are elongated, thickened, discolored, all this other stuff. So sometimes you guys might do nails, might not do nails, but that's why I put it in for me. And then it has other information. So basically you set a master one and you can add these in additional ones. Now let's say they also had a wound. I would go down to templates and it would be wound only. And so within the skin components, you would also find the wound documentation as well. Signs of infection, granular base, moist base, things like that. So that's really, really helpful, okay, within the medical record. Something else, so that would be the physical exam. Also very, very helpful, and I'll give you guys access to this as well. All the procedures that I do are right here. So I have shockwave, nail debridement. I have 124 procedure templates. Incision and drainage, matrixectomy, Cariflex, laser, treatment, injection of neuromas, orthotic scanning. So everything here, it's kind of cool. So you click it and it pulls in, you can do right and left and which toe it is. And so it pulls everything in there. So that's under the description. So that saves you a lot of time when you're seeing a patient. One thing I was specifically alluding to before was fractures. A lot of times we see fractures and we don't put it in here, but this is an example of like a stress fracture, like a left, like second met. You can do a stress fracture of the left foot. It's close enough in anatomical location, does not need open reduction or manipulation. So these are how I use the fracture codes. Now the cool thing, these link with my billing. Now I'm not going to go into detail how that works, but it links to the billing and it pulls up in my billing tab. So this is a nice way to save a lot of time with doing diagnoses with doing procedures. Now, I spend most of my time within the physical exam component, and my staff does all this other stuff, so I'm not going to go over that. I do the physical exam, the procedures, and then the assessments are already right here, and it pulls in different types of things, and I just kind of line things up with these, and then I can put in my discussion. Now, the discussion is where most of my dot codes go. So like, for example, dot EPAT, if I did the last treatment, there's no additional shock waves that are needed. Or let's say they had an ulcer. There might be an ulcer, a new ulcer, or a follow-up ulcer, or a long-standing ulcer. All of these, once I do it once, I can have it, I can just reuse it. So it really helps me a lot. If I do my patient education genius and I do a presentation, I can tell them I do it on Google Slides. I can say how much time I spent. If I have a new patient, this new decision-making, I can say I spent a moderate level of complexity with them and all that stuff. So once you have this set in here, it makes it a lot easier and you don't have to transcribe as much. So those are my main ones. I'm going to give you guys access to, now these might, I think I updated these in 2021, so they might be a little bit older, but these are all my macros that I talked about, all my dispensing notes, my x-ray notes, and everything else like that. If there's something that's missing from here that would help you, let me know. Since I'm giving it all for free, I'll spend more time and make it for you. But those were the main things that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think it's going to really help your practice, make it a lot easier to link these things together. I know it's kind of a lot about medical record. I'll give you my stuff. Let me know what you'd like me to add to it, what's helped you. If you do decide to do Athena, there is a way, and there's another doctor that it's actually asked me to do that. I can transfer some of my content. I don't know if it'll transfer everything, but some of it it'll transfer over to you. You guys can use it. So just reach out to me if you guys are using Athena. Once again, I am not, actually I am paid. I don't really make that much, but they pay me a little bit if someone like I refer over or something else like that. Tomorrow, we're going to give you the 80/20 stuff on orthotics. I know this is kind of deep dive, especially if you transcribe or do something else with your medical records, or you're not from the United States, which I find a lot of people are from other countries that are listening to this. If you guys found this beneficial, please put a comment underneath it, put a little testimony, and I'll add it to the sign up sheet. If you have a friend that you think this would benefit, please put their name and email, but just the email underneath it. I'll send you a free bonus, and they'll get all of this wonderful content and me jabbering every morning to them. Okay, guys, have a good day.